NBA. Well, Magic Johnson took time out of his day to pretty much call out reporters for falsifying and lying about the value of his Los Angeles Sparks. Now, Magic Johnson is an NBA legend, one who never bites his tongue, and one who always makes sure to tell the truth. Let's head on over to Google right now to pull up this article, man. This one is very interesting because, like I told y'all, these owners don't have any reason to lie to these ladies, bro.
Significant developments are emerging regarding the financial sustainability of the WNBA and what this means for the upcoming seasons. With collective bargaining discussions underway and financial reports painting a troubling picture, questions arise about whether the league can continue operations. The collective bargaining agreement negotiations received a 6-week extension, during which time players maintained the option to initiate work stoppage action. While speculation initially circulated about certain high-profile athletes potentially delaying the process, no official confirmation emerged regarding which players might be holding out from finalizing the agreement. The extension period has now elapsed, yet the situation remains unresolved.
Bro, I've been telling y'all this. So a lot of people been saying that the owners is lying and all this and that. Now, Shaq is the owner. Magic Johnson is the owner, and I believe Tom Brady owned the team too. I believe Tom Brady owned the Aces. But let's read this. It says Magic Johnson fact checks WNBA ownership at the $235 million news. What damn there's a WNBA team worth 200 some million. Let me.
Meanwhile, sports business analysts appearing across various media outlets have begun openly questioning the league's long-term viability. The WNBA has existed for nearly 3 decades, yet continues experiencing what officials describe as developmental challenges. Critics argue that any enterprise failing to achieve profitability after such an extended period raises serious concerns about its fundamental business model. Financial documents reveal troubling patterns. The league has reportedly never generated positive returns throughout its entire existence. Multiple business observers suggest that ownership groups may be utilizing the franchises primarily as tax deductions rather than legitimate profit-generating ventures.
What damn there's a WNBA team worth 200 some million. Let me look this up real quick, bro, because I just don't think it's a WNBA. That's my phone. WNBA team. The most expensive. Let me see. WNBA team. Let me see here. Let me pull this up because I just cannot believe it's a team worth over 100 million or anything like that.
Annual red ink has become the norm, with franchises consistently requiring external financial support to maintain operations. Recent reports indicate the league faces approximately $40 million in losses for the current season alone. This comes despite unprecedented attendance figures and television ratings driven largely by emerging talent entering the competition. Historical data shows the NBA's ownership stake encompasses roughly 60% of the league when considering individual team investments, rising to 75% when accounting for league-wide holdings. Sources with direct access to financial statements confirm that NBA franchise owners have poured hundreds of millions into the women's league since its 1996 establishment.
Million or anything like that. Most expensive, my bad. WNBA team. Let's see here. Wow, said the Golden State Valkyries is valued at $500 million in mid. You want to know why? Damn, now that I think about it, because they're a brand new team, bro. That's why they're trying to get these new teams. So the Indiana Fever is actually valued at $335 million.
One NBA team executive stated the WNBA owes such substantial sums to its parent organization that any potential financial gains remain years away, even under optimistic projections. Financial forecasts from the previous season estimated losses around $50 million, as reported across multiple industry publications. The upcoming media rights agreement, valued at approximately $2 billion and set to commence in 2026, represents a potential turning point. Industry insiders speculate this lucrative broadcast deal may be motivating current contract holdouts, with athletes seeking larger portions of the anticipated revenue stream. However, concerns exist about whether viewership trends support such optimistic valuations.
So the Indiana Fever is actually valued at $335 million, simply because of Caitlin Clark. The New York Liberty, I knew they was up there, but the hundreds of millions of dollars, damn. So the New York Liberty at 420, the Aces at 310, and the Phoenix Mercury is at 300 million. It's that the WNBA overall valuation has exploded, with the average franchise's value nearly to 269 million by mid 2025, demonstrating a booming market and strong investor interest.
Audience engagement metrics have shown inconsistent patterns, with fluctuating interest levels that make long-term planning difficult. Content creators covering the league report unpredictable viewer response, making the sport challenging to promote consistently. Current financial analysis confirms the league operates at substantial annual deficits, with the NBA providing ongoing subsidies. Loss estimates range from $10 million to $50 million yearly, representing a consistent drain on resources. Despite increased attention and revenue generated by marquee players attracting new audiences, the organization remains unprofitable.
And strong investor interest in women's professional basketball. This was in the middle of 2025. Y'all know what I say, man. Men lie, women lie, the numbers don't. The numbers don't lie, man. Let's finish reading this. It says, after playing 13 seasons in the NBA with the Los Angeles Lakers, Magic Johnson has continued to thrive, having an estimated net value of about $1.5 billion. He's a very successful business owner. Now, Johnson has several.
The 2025 fiscal outlook projects continued losses, with the league guaranteed to require external funding for another cycle. While revenue projections have climbed significantly, potentially reaching $100 million to $200 million, operational expenses remain disproportionately high, keeping the enterprise in negative territory. Since the 1997 launch, the league has never achieved self-sustaining financial independence, remaining entirely dependent on NBA backing. Some analysts contend the league's profitability calculations may undervalue certain assets and emerging revenue channels, suggesting the financial picture might be somewhat better than presented. However, even optimistic assessments acknowledge the substantial gap between income and expenditures.
Successful business owner. Now, Johnson has several businesses in food, real estate, healthcare, and entertainment, according to Forbes. Most of his fortunes come from his stake in the life insurance company Equitrust, which has assets worth $27 billion. Now, the Lakers icon also jumped into sports team ownership. He holds ownership stakes such as the Washington Commanders, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Los Angeles Sparks, and
the fundamental question confronting stakeholders involves whether the business model remains viable. Despite nearly 3 decades of operation, the league has failed to establish the financial foundation necessary for independent existence. Losses in the $40.50 million range for 2024 underscore the magnitude of the challenge. This situation creates tension around current contract negotiations, particularly regarding revenue sharing proposals. Athletes are seeking increased compensation and profit participation, despite the organization's documented history of continuous financial losses.
The Los Angeles Dodgers, the Los Angeles Sparks, and the Los Angeles FCS, which I believe that is a soccer team. Now, with that being said, Johnson revealed some exciting news recently after Forbes named the Sparks as one of the most valuable women's sports teams of 2025. The LA franchise ranked at number 13 with the $235 million value, making it the 8th most valuable WNBA team. Now, however, when Johnson shared the news, he couldn't help but
the disconnect between performance expectations and business realities presents a significant obstacle to reaching agreement. Critics point out that players have recently seen compensation increases from previous minimums to potential maximum contracts worth hundreds of thousands annually, with some proposals guaranteeing $500,000 salaries. Given the sustained financial losses, questions arise about the sustainability of further compensation increases without corresponding revenue growth. The reality remains that NBA ownership groups, after investing vast sums over multiple decades, are reportedly losing patience with the ongoing financial drain. Without demonstrable progress toward profitability, the willingness to continue subsidizing operations may diminish.
With Usher, don't remember this happening. Number 10 was Stud Buds. To be fair, the Stud Buds at All-Star Weekend is absolutely belongs high. But I'm actually shocked that, first of all, this was higher. This was more important. But the WNBA actually posted this. When Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers matched up. This was an absolute... Like, this was a game where if you wanted to argue that Paige Beckers was better than Caitlin Clark...
The 2026 media rights windfall represents perhaps the final opportunity to demonstrate the league can become financially viable. Whether the WNBA can transform its business model, capitalize on increased attention, and finally achieve sustainable operations remains uncertain. The next contract cycle and media rights implementation will likely determine if the league survives long-term or if financial pressures finally force ownership groups to reconsider their continued investment in what has proven to be a persistently unprofitable venture despite 3 decades of effort and hundreds of millions in subsidies. The recent promotional campaign featuring Caitlin Clark has achieved remarkable digital engagement across platforms. The advertisement's performance metrics demonstrate unprecedented reach within the athletic apparel industry's social media presence.
You wanted to argue that Paige Beckers was better than Caitlin Clark, you just couldn't anymore. This was like Caitlin was on one leg and she was taking the piss. She stole the ball 4 times off Paige. She blocked JJ Quinterly, screamed in her face, grabbed the ball and just looked up and launched a full court pass inch perfect to Sophie Cunningham. In fairness, Paige Beckers caught her in the air and she went down, looking like she had hurt herself on that one. Caitlin's stats-wise, she had...
Examining Nike's Instagram account reveals the Clark campaign garnered approximately 30.3 million impressions, positioning it among the brand's highest-performing content pieces. This level of engagement stands out significantly when compared to other recent marketing initiatives from the company. Only select posts have surpassed this viewership threshold, including content celebrating the Dodgers' championship victory with Shohei Ohtani, and notably, coverage of Brazil's women's national soccer team achievement, which accumulated roughly 100 million impressions. The advertisement's performance exceeds numerous other major sports moments, including UConn's championship coverage and various other athletic milestones. What makes these figures particularly striking is the compressed time frame. These engagement numbers accumulated within merely 48 hours of publication.
Caitlin's stats-wise, she had 13 assists in like 20-something minutes. She played 10 minutes less than Paige, so 13 assists. Paige Beckers was the absolute... She was, as we call her at times last season, she was the garbage time demon. She was the demon of garbage time last year. When it was a blowout, Paige Beckers started cooking. When it was game over, Paige Beckers started cooking at the end of that game to get her 20-something points. But it was like by the time Caitlin Clark had checked out of the game, Caitlin Clark had more points.
Projections suggest the total reach could climb toward 40 to 50 million impressions as momentum continues. For context, Nike's Winning Isn't For Everyone campaign achieved approximately 15 million views, making Clark's content performance notably superior. Regarding cultural impact, 2024 represented a peak moment for Clark's mainstream recognition. While that specific year marked her maximum cultural penetration, the athlete maintains extraordinary relevance within the sports landscape. Among female athletes globally, Clark occupies an elite tier of recognition, particularly within women's basketball, where her prominence remains unmatched.
It was like by the time Caitlin Clark had checked out of the game, Caitlin Clark had more points. I'm pretty sure it was more points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, and less turnovers. Like, it was genuinely crazy. It was crazy. It was what I would say was anyone points to anything. You look at that game, you're like, even the fucking UConn game. Fun fact. This is not a fun fact because it's not a fact. I'm pretty sure UConn were 3-0 against Iowa and Caitlin Clark until that game. I'm pretty sure.
Historical comparisons reveal that certain tennis professionals have achieved comparable or greater global fame among women's sports figures. Other athletic disciplines have also produced female stars with substantial followings. However, within basketball specifically, Clark's visibility exceeds all predecessors and contemporaries in the women's category. Her overall sports relevance now competes directly with athletes across all gender divisions. Women's athletics have cultivated a distinct advantage in digital platform fluency compared to many male counterparts.
We're 3-0 against Iowa and Caitlin Clark until that game. I'm pretty sure. Paige Beckers is 0-4. I'm pretty sure Iowa beat UConn once when they were in college together. And one of them, Paige, didn't even play. It was an 80-foot masterclass. But and 22 was playing with 2 injured quads. Yep. One of Caitlin's best games, a Cookie Monster and her Cookie Monster PEs. Oh, that is kind of funny. The actual highlights, because Caitlin beat from Paige.
Athletes like Angel Reese exemplify this social media sophistication, though Clark herself doesn't necessarily fit this pattern as directly. The phenomenon extends to emerging male players as well. Jared McCain received attention partially due to his TikTok presence, while LaMelo Ball sparked viral memes that contributed to his brand recognition. The critical distinction for Clark involves converting digital engagement into tangible audience attendance and viewership. Many athletes accumulate substantial social media followings without corresponding translation to actual game attendance. Numerous players boast hundreds of thousands of dedicated supporters online whose engagement rarely extends to watching competitions in real time.
From Paige, the real rival in WNBA, CC versus Caitlin. Caitlin had Paige in hell that game, read her like a book. The real rivalry, Paige greater than Angel, without the weird underlying animosity between players. I'm just putting it out there. I think Paige is more talented than Angel Reese. I think Angel was better. Angel has been better as a WNBA player. I think Angel as a rookie was better than Paige as a rookie. I think Angel literally dragged the Chicago Sky to multiple wins as a rookie. I think the Vegas win, she literally got 2.
Clark demonstrates the reverse pattern. Her audience consistently converts social media interest into viewership and attendance at actual basketball contests. This represents a unique achievement within women's basketball, where most athletes haven't replicated this conversion rate. Ironically, critics who suggested Clark's popularity stemmed from non-basketball factors overlook that her fanbase represents the demographic most likely to watch complete games religiously. Previous Olympic competitions featuring Team USA women's basketball occurred in venues operating at partial capacity. Future tournaments, particularly those featuring Clark, anticipate significantly enhanced attendance.
2 putbacks to win that game, even though she was terrible up to that point. The New York Liberty win, Angel willed them to the win. There were a couple of games where Angel Reese, even last season, willed the Sky to wins. Paige did not will. She willed them into close games. She didn't will them to a win. Angel Reese willed her team to wins. Like, say what you want about Angel, like, she was exceptional. Even on one leg, Fever Dog went better than the Wings.
The World Cup tournament promises sold-out venues wherever the American squad competes, potentially including premium courtside seating at elevated prices. The Toronto appearances alone expect massive turnout, with international fans planning attendance specifically for Clark's participation. The promotional material achieved approximately 50 million total impressions across all social platforms combined. This represents one of the most successful product launch campaigns in recent memory across any industry.
Fever Dog went better than the Wings. Certainly a memorable game. Coming in at number 7, it was a lot higher. To be fair, if it was number 7, show the highlights. Paige is so much better based on what? If you were talking about this game, I just remember how the game was summarized in one photo. Yeah. How the game summarized in one photo. That was basically it. The rivalry the league wants. They have grown, bless their hearts. Aaliyah Boston, 80 foot. 4 steals.
Few marketing initiatives have generated comparable organic viral reach in such compressed timeframes. From Nike's corporate perspective, Clark's partnership arrives at a strategically crucial moment. The company faces various competitive pressures where Clark's market appeal provides significant value. The brand demonstrates clear intention to maximize this partnership's potential, evidenced by their investment in prominent promotional placement.